Hi, this is Jeremy Moskowitz, Group Policy MVP and founder of PolicyPak software, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use the Compliance Reporter to set up auditing on all of your client systems without installing anything on your client systems. So let me say that again. The Group Policy Compliance Reporter Server Edition has a feature called Group Policy Auditing, and you don't have to, quote, install anything on the target machines. You don't even need our PolicyPak client-side extension if all you were interested in was monitoring and auditing for Microsoft group policy settings. So in order to get started here, you might have made your way here, which is the Auditing Setup Wizard. Let me show you how you would find this anyway, in case you didn't, which is, again, you'd first install the Group Policy Compliance Reporter server. Okay, so, whoops, let me go ahead and get this linked up here. So in the download, you'll see the PolicyPak Compliance Reporter. I've already installed Server on a server, and the admin console on, well, this machine, it also happens to be a server, but you would load the admin console on your machine, and that's what gets you this, okay? So once you're here, you would click on Settings. Make sure you're in multi-user mode, which attaches to the server. You'd click on Audit Setup, and here you are in the Audit Setup Wizard. So the first thing you're going to do is to create and deploy a scheduled task to run the Auditor Executable and submit audit data. So that's how we do this. We don't have to install anything on each of our target machines. We simply have to teach our target machines to run a scheduled task, which will then send the data to the server. Okay, so the other thing you need to do is to set what's called audited computers. Now, you don't have to audit every computer. You could audit a specific group. So if by way of example you had a group predefined somewhere in Active Directory that made sense to you, not an OU, we're talking about an actual security group. So like if you had a group called new group and you wanted to call this audit me group, okay, and you wanted to click in the audit me group and add members, you could actually add not users, but you could add computers to this group. Okay, so if I were to click here and find, I could add a bunch of my client computers or whatever these are and add them to a group. So this is one choice. You can have a group of that you make, add computers to that group, and decide these are the only computers you want to collect auditing from. That's perfectly valid. But if you want to kind of get your way through this fast, I'm going to suggest that you choose a group that's called domain computers. Okay, make sure you put domain computers and not like domain admins in there, because we are auditing computers, not users. So you're going to audit domain computers. This would, by default, any computer that's in domain computers, which is every computer, we will accept auditing data from. So that's what this is. This is a filter that will decide who we will accept audit data from. If we click next here, we then have to specify what's called the Auditor Path. What is the Auditor Path? Well, when you install the Group Policy Compliance Reporter server on this machine, if you were to go to Program Files x86 under PolicyPak, there is a folder called the Compliance Reporter Server, okay, and then there's another folder here called Auditor. You need to get this, well, shared out. So I'm going to right-click over this folder and share with Advanced Sharing and share this folder. Let's see here. What I want to do is share this folder, call it Auditor, and I'll set permissions for everyone read. Now you could copy these files to another server if you wanted to. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to use the ones that we ship right here. So now I've shared out this folder, and it's known as whack DC whack Auditor. Okay, so now it's ready to go. Because again, these files are what your client machines are going to reach across the wire and run whenever group policy applies, and that's what's going to get us the data. So now I'm going to browse here, and I just shared it out, so I'm going to go to whack DC Auditor, there it is, and pick the PPGPCR.Auditor executable, and in doing so, there we go, we're ready to go. Specify the server that we want to send the data to. Again, I've installed the Compliance Reporter server on this machine. It's called DC. This is our standard port 50022. And then here's the final thing we need to do is we got to get the directive over to our target machines. I'm going to suggest that you create a new GPO to deliver this scheduled task. If you wanted to, you could also pick an existing GPO and jam the scheduled task into an existing GPO, or you can you can create a group policy preferences schedule task item, and you can import it to your own GPO later. I'm only going to show you this. Create a new GPO to deliver the scheduled task. So I'll call this deploy PPGPCR audit sched task. Okay, so it'll create a brand new group policy object. And we're done. Now, that's all ready to go. I'll go ahead and click OK here. It says changes will apply on next run. So I'll go ahead and close out the compliance reporter. But the thing we didn't do is we got to go down to the group policy objects node. Let me go ahead and hit refresh here. Make sure that we get all the latest group policy objects that are in the swimming pool here. And there is the GPO we just created. Deploy PPGPCR audit schedule task. Notice how it's not linked to any location. But before we check out, do what's next, let's take a look at the settings. You can see what's the goal. We're going to run a scheduled task anytime group policy is triggered. And we're going to run whack DC auditor, right? That's the share, against the executable and deliver it to the server we just described. So that's the magic. The magic is that we run a scheduled task automatically on all your client machines, and we'll accept the data from the computers that we specified in the group. But we got to link this GPO over to a place that makes sense. So I'm going to link it to the whole domain, which will then request, well, every computer will request data to be sent. So PP, let's see here. Okay, there we go. Oh, there you go. Deploy PPGPCR audit schedule task. So there it is. It's linked. I like to, whenever I do anything at the domain level, I like to right-click and enforce it on in case there's a block inheritance later. I know that this GPO's going to be enforced through any block inheritance. And that's it. Group Policy Compliance Reporter auditing is now set up, and let's go ahead and see that it's all working. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and run the compliance reporter admin console here. Okay. It connects to the server, and let's go to snapshots. So what's going to happen now is that I'm going to manually walk over to a particular machine. I'm going to run GP update twice. Now, you wouldn't normally have to do this in real life. I'm doing it to sort of accelerate the hands of time. In the course of a couple of hours, you're going to get group policy automatically downloading, applying, and then reapplying, and that's when you're going to get data. So if I go over to a target machine here and I run GP update, the first time is going to get me the scheduled task. And I want to show you the scheduled task as a troubleshooting. I'm going to show you where the scheduled task is so you can see, did I get the scheduled task? And you can only see the scheduled task, by the way, when you're logged in as administrator. So I'm logged in as administrator specifically to show you this as a test. So if I go to computer manage here, I want to look at the scheduled tasks. So if I go to task scheduler and go to task scheduler library, boom. What we've now done is, because you got a group policy object that will create the scheduled task, it is now going to, whenever group policy applies, it's going to, like I said, run whack DC whack auditor against the executable name and deliver the data to the domain controller. Okay, that's what's happening here. So that's the goal, is to get this scheduled task on all your target machines. So now that we've done this, let's go ahead and run GP update again. At this point, the scheduled task will fire off and send the data to the server, and at that point we should start seeing some magic. Now, after GP update runs, we actually cache that information for about a minute before we send it to the server. So don't panic. If you go back to your admin console here and you click on snapshots here and you click, well, actually I have no computer sets defined. So let me right click and create a computer set, and then I'll call this all just to sort of get us started here. And I'll pick the entire domain, and now that I've got this all set, I can click refresh. If you don't see anything right away, don't panic, okay? Because again, we cache that information for about a minute. I'm going to go ahead and pause. Well, actually, maybe I won't pause the video. Maybe what I'll do is I'll go to my other client machines here. I'll run GP update on each of these machines. I'll get the scheduled task going here on each of these machines. Now again, you would not normally have to do this in real life. I'm simply doing it to accelerate the hands of time a little bit, just to kind of make things kind of run a little faster here. So I'm running GP update on these machines for the first time just to get the scheduled task. All right. And who am I? I am eSales user 3. So I would not be able to see the scheduled task as this user. Okay. So I'm just going to run it again on each of these machines here. Run GP update here. Again, a second time. Run GP update here a second time. And if I go back over to our management station for the compliance reporter, if I click refresh here, boom, you can see data starts to come in. It starts to trickle in from your machines. And you could just double click on any given entry and instantly see the current data set that's on the target machine. Okay, so that sort of gets auditing up and running. At this point now, you'd be able to create your tests. You'd be able to manipulate results and go from there. But in order to set up auditing, okay, what I did was, again, I clicked on settings, I went through the auditor setup, and you saw me do all the steps to get the auditor setup wizard ready to go. And now data starts trickling in from our target machines. I hope this helps. If you have questions about getting the compliance reporter set up, we're here for you at support@policypak.com. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.